Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Force for Growth podcast. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Courtney. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be discussing this complex we sometimes have as humans. Why stop making life harder than it is? Don't make life harder. So, let's get started.
Tell me, Courtney, why did you take that big old breath right there?
Because I was curious what you were going to say, but
You tell me.
what
Tell me. Talk to
made
me. Chat
this
me up.
okay? Well, this may or may not resonate very much with myself right now in life. But I'm curious, Ricardo, why did you pick this topic and what's on your mind?
I don't know. It literally came to me earlier today, 10 minutes before we hit the record button. And yeah, I don't know why it came. It just occurred to me that we, you and me, because let's keep it on us, right? Because we don't know
Yes,
what other people do, but you and me are probably the only ones in the world in the history of the universe that make life harder than it should be.
just us.
Just
Just
you
us
and
have
me.
this issue.
So
Yeah.
it's just so you're gonna coach me and I'm gonna coach you through this, and we're just gonna talk about this because it's just the two of us that have this issue,
Yeah, yeah, it
right?
is. So
I know
let's
I do.
I definitely do. I I think I need to have a moment right now where I'm like, "Hi, my name's Courtney Carr, and I apparently like to get in my own way." So,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that's
just
the same person,
getting
yes.
out of that way and moving out of the path to my goals and everything I want, and I don't know, I've gotten a lot of clarity lately in a lot of situations, and looking back, I'm grateful for them, but at the time, it kinda makes everything feel like it's all crumbling, but there've been good pivots, but the biggest eye-opening thing is looking back, man, was I making it so much harder on myself. The signs were there, like, the signs were there.
Then it should have been, right? Then
Yeah.
it should have been. Let me put a little asterisk right here before we really get going. We're only 2
Okay.
minutes in, okay?
Uh-oh.
And let me
Disclaimer.
just say it like this. Just say it briefly. Easy sucks. Like if it was easy, if everything was easy, I mean, what would be the point of that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? But on the other extreme of it is that we go out of our way to make it significantly harder than it already is,
Mhm.
right? That's what we're talking about. But in
Yeah.
my mind, easy, like if it's easy, what's the point? Nobody wants to deal with easy. Nobody
And
wants
that's a
that.
funny observation about people. It's like we'll sit here and let's call it our talking part of our brain, the brain that the conscious one that's sitting there having those conversations that you're privy to. You aren't telling yourself you want it to be hard. You aren't doing this on purpose.
Correct.
However, your equilibrium or your thermostat or whatever metaphor you like to use in personal development, your subconscious is set to that as your emotional home or that as your mode that you slip into when you're at work, your mode you slip into around certain people, your mode you slip into when you wake up ungrateful. And it's just interesting. We don't want that, but we spend 99% of our energy keeping ourselves there because change is scary. It takes a lot to change. It takes a lot to step out of your comfort zone. However, how's the only other way we're going to get it? Anything we want, right? Is we actually have to take the step. So,
It's it's
big
it's
lesson.
interesting. So what was the last thing that you've made harder on yourself than it should have been? Because once we get past it, this is the really interesting part. When we're in it, we don't see us doing it, right?
Yeah.
When we're in it, we're like, no, everything. No, it's really this hard. No, I'm not making it harder. Why would I do that? That's ridiculous. Nope. But then when you get out of it, you're like, yeah, that I
Yeah.
made that a lot way more harder and more complicated than it should be.
Let's just say I've been taking a sledgehammer to a square peg in a round hole for a while now, and I just about got that darn thing in before I realized this isn't a good fit. This is not what I want. It's not what's best for this group. It's no one to
It's not
fold,
good for
right?
business.
Exactly.
It's not good
Exactly.
for business. But when you're in
Quite
it,
literally.
you don't really realize that, right?
Right.
When
Right.
you're in it, you don't really realize that.
And then
So
when
for
you kind of come down and start to clarify how you feel about the situation, then you start to see how many red flags you missed. Then you start to see all those signs that were right there in front of you, you know, and that just will strengthen it where I will decide quicker the next time or choose quicker, make just choices and decisions or what it
Wait
comes
a
down
second,
to.
Courtney. Wait a second. This is one of these moments where we have to stop. Stop.
Okay.
You're trying to tell me that you had your eyes closed, your ears
Completely.
closed,
Yes.
and your mouth closed
Yep.
to the
Yep.
feedback?
Yes. Yes. I was just driving that car 100 miles per hour, just all blinded. And guess what? It crashed. So,
And it's
anyway,
only you, Courtney. Again, we're just talking about me and you. We're the only two
right.
that go through this. And apparently, Mark here, because he says, he admits, it sounds like an admission, a confession, if you will. He says, we are complicated people that make everything harder and complicated.
Yes.
So it's only
Yes.
you, me, and Mark. That's the only three people that have ever
Oh,
dealt with
that's
this.
comforting to know we're not alone in
We're
this,
not
right?
alone, Courtney. We're
Yeah.
not alone.
Yeah.
So one of the things that recently that I make harder, and this is, I don't know if it's a pattern or if it's just something, but if it's just easy, sometimes I end up questioning myself.
Mm,
I'm like, wait a second, should it really be this easy? Huh? What's wrong? What's going on? Am I doing it wrong? Am I messing this up? Did I understand what needs to be done? Because
right.
it shouldn't be this easy.
Look at all that anxiety that rose up in him. He's questioning the thing in front of him. He's questioning himself. He's
I
questioning
am.
the legitimacy. He's making up reasons to not trust anything right now. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those deals. So one of the things like so we have four podcasts, this podcast, the Force for Growth podcast, and three other podcasts coming out soon, all part of this new collaborative that we call the Force for Growth Network,
Yes.
right? So we got three more podcasts coming down the pipe in this. And so I'm over here recording and editing and getting all these things set up. And I'm like, okay. And then meanwhile, I kind of let the editing stack up a little bit and I got a little behind. And when I know that I have the process down, how many of us already have a process, right? A process,
Mhm.
some steps that we know that need to be done in order to stay caught up and to make it, not make it, but keep it easy,
Yeah.
right? Just to
Yeah.
keep it easy. We know the process, we know what we have to do, right? But
Bite-sized
no,
chunks.
nope, 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 not Ricardo. Ricardo was like, it's too easy. It's all good. I got this. And I just let them pile up. And then I'm making it harder on myself because now instead of just editing one or two a week, I'm editing like 15.
You
you
know,
know,
that's hilarious.
it, I don't
One of
know.
my favorite comments I've ever heard, and it was Karen Phelps that said it, and she used to be an MLM speaker, and basically she comes out and she's like, "Have you ever done something that worked? It was going great, and then you stopped?" And it's just funny. We'll start something, and I don't know, it can be exercise, it can be something, but somebody like a human will start a new pattern. It'll work. They'll build a system. They'll almost have it as built-in part of their daily habits of their whatever, but then we'll just stop, right? And I don't know, back to what you were saying earlier about it's almost too easy. So, question, do you think the editing became quote unquote too easy because you got it down to a consistent process that you self sabotage that in some way to make it a little harder? All
Well,
subconsciously, too.
that's a good question, but I wouldn't use the word self sabotage. I just got
Yes.
lazy and I took it for granted. I took the system, like you just mentioned, you get into the system, right? You get into the process, you get into the habit, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's like whatever. If I could do two, I could do four,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of take that for granted sometimes that, okay, you know what? You know what it is? You get a little cocky.
I
You get
think
a
that's
little
fair.
cocky.
Yeah.
You start the system up and you're like, okay, you get in it, you refine it, you're doing good, you're rocking and rolling with the system. And then you start to get a little cocky. Oh yeah, look at me. I got my system down. Look at me. Yep, man, I am rocking this. Why am
Mm.
I only doing this much? If I take today off, tomorrow I could do twice as much. And this shouldn't be that bad. Guess what?
Yeah. And then, yep,
It
you fall
turns into
behind.
that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and that always cracks me up because it's always as if, and I know I'm the only soul that's ever battled with this. Future Courtney, I always assume will have so much more time, right? She'll have so much more time. She'll have it figured out. She will have this all done so that she can do that thing on her list. And that's what I've learned so far is future Courtney does not have more time. And future Courtney will not have extra time to spare. But we all do fall into that trap where, especially the whole I'll do it tomorrow. That is a really dangerous thing to do with in our brain is because you give yourself a little oxytocin dopamine dose whenever you say you'll do it tomorrow because your brain's like, okay, we're dealing with it. We're actually doing something. Okay, yes. So it allows that little happy cocktail to be released in your brain. Then you keep procrastinating however you feel like you're being productive. And then tomorrow comes around. You've already said you'll do it tomorrow and put it off one day so far. So what's the harm in putting it off another day? And so it's almost as if as the days go on and you keep putting it off, you're robbing yourself of your energy and you're inserting anxiety that you don't have to have days down the road. If you could just spend 2 minutes, 5 minutes doing it now. And it's just this loop that I know I get in, but it's to me, that's one of the many ways that I tend to make things harder is just simply procrastinating on it. Like, come on.
So good. Such good. I wrote something
Yeah.
down here, Courtney, that just came to me. See, these downloads just come.
Love it.
And Mark says, because tomorrow never comes. That's
Yes.
a worthwhile comment. Tomorrow never comes. That's so true.
Right?
So I just
Yes.
got a download here while you were talking. Why things seem easy on the surface, things that seem easy on the surface, we talk ourselves out we talk ourselves out of how easy they really are.
Yes.
That self-talk comes into play.
Yeah.
So something that really is truly easy on the surface that may take a couple of minutes, like you just said, but then the self-talk comes in. And then the self-talk turns this little thing that's super easy into
Yes.
this ginormous, complicated, difficult, complex deal that now you have to deal with. And it's all because of the self-talk.
That self-talk is powerful, man. It's just it's playing tricks on you. Like I'm not saying there's no accuracy in our brains. There's no accuracy. There definitely is. But equally so, if not more so, more than half is just this trickery going on that your ego's playing into this universal mind of these thoughts we've talked about before on the podcast, the universal mind. But your ego's job literally is just to sit there and figure out, will this kill me? And does this fit a pattern I've seen before? It will lie to itself. And I mean, you could literally, a assistant title of your brain could be just something that goes around and makes things harder than they are. It really can because it's that overthinking and analysis paralysis. We've done an episode on that too. If I can keep myself out of the overthinking, and you'll call me out on it when we're talking, you're like, Courtney, stop. That has nothing to do with this. And that's me going on this loop of analysis that probably is not leading me to make a quick, clear decision right now in the moment. I'm putting it
So
off and I'm complicating it.
so yeah, so you put it off, you complicated. What's some of your favorite self-talk on something easy?
Just it
I don't
it's
have
just
time is a good one.
yeah, yeah, I don't have time or I don't have the energy. Like we make energy. We're humans, we're machines. We just have to reverse engineer it. Just the self-worth and the I don't have the skills. Okay. Well, you're not a tree. Get up and learn the skill, and just or try it not having that skill yet and see how you do and learn from there, be willing to try. And so just those I can't I'll the a very one that's kind of hidden is I'll try. That's a phrase. We call that a red word because if you're saying you'll try something, you're already giving yourself permission to fail before you ever start.
Correct.
So I just, so my 2 cents, pick a different word. And,
Try doesn't exist.
yeah, no, no.
It just
Thank you,
doesn't.
Yoda.
You can't try to do something. Either you do it or you don't.
Hmm.
Either you
Yoda or
do it or
Henry
you
Ford.
don't.
Was
My
Yoda quoting Henry Ford? Anyway.
my my go-to is I'm too tired. Like I'm just too tired to do that.
How do you
I'm
talk
just too
yourself
tired.
out of that or up from that?
Um it's really complicated, Courtney, and I'll share that secret
Are you,
with you
pun
if you
intended?
I'll share that secret with you if I can get 3 comments right now in the live chat that say
Okay.
yes. If I get
Okay.
3
You guys
comments,
comment yes, because I want to hear what he has to say. Hey,
because
hey,
it's a
Levi.
very complex. It's complicated. It's really
Yeah.
complex, right? But I'm willing to share this if I get 3 comments below.
Okay. Levi Jackson says being willing is huge.
It
Being
is
willing is everything. Okay. We got one yes, two yes. We got
3.
three yes.
All
Okay.
right,
Thank you
even though
guys.
it was Livy saying it twice.
You didn't specify, clarify, and verify.
You are true. All right. So here's my complicated secret to getting past that tiredness.
Okay.
Putting on my big boy pants and doing it anyways.
Yes.
Like sometimes you just have to grit your teeth and just snap yourself out of it and get it done. Like there's
Mhm.
in some cases there maybe someone somewhere has a magic potion, a magic phrase, a magic saying, a magic thing that works. But for me, it's just like if I'm not gonna do it, it ain't gonna get done. So and it's got to get done.
Mhm.
The end.
Yeah. 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 Mark
And
said, oh, yes, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
but I mean, but that's it. Like that's it. Like it's got to get done. It's urgent. It matters to me. Other people are depending on it. That type of thing. It's got to get done, right?
Do you get the feeling of accomplishment or pride in yourself after? Do you find that after feeling changes the mood before?
No, but I tell you what I do find.
Honest.
I tell you what I do find that it was a lot, significantly, greatly more easier than it was than when I was putting it off. I was
Thank you
making
for
it
that transparent.
significantly
Yes.
harder. I was
Yes.
making it significantly harder.
Yeah. All of this is taking effort, whether we're, and I'm aiming this comment at me, whether you're making it harder on yourself, Courtney, or not. Okay, we have
Yeah,
some great comments. So Mark said, mine is I'll do it later, but then things are so piled high that it's untouchable. Great point. So if we're putting it off, I mean, just you got to understand you're robbing that energy from somewhere, right? LaVie Jackson sharing a wonderful quote from our friend Michelle Martini. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I want to say Rachel Hollister make a joke right there, but I'm not sure who originally said that. Yeah. And then Mark said, you're so right. Just do it. There's a reason that's a Nike slogan. There's a reason why. The, the phrase is complete. Just do it. Like there's nothing else to add. It's
yeah,
not that complicated. Life is easy. It's not simple. It's easy steps for certain things, but as you're going through the motions, it's not necessarily going to feel simple and feel easy in the moment. But when we take step backs, it's typically certain things and certain repetitive patterns that we know we need to follow. And so it's just, and especially, humans are masters at blaming people. And we did a whole series on excuses. There's inward excuses, there's outward excuses, there's blaming all kinds of things in different ways. So it's just, of all the excuses and things you're telling yourself, what are you making harder that you could make easier? And what if
correct.
it is just that simple?
I'll give you an example, another example here recently in my life. I recently joined Orange Theory and I upgraded my membership to unlimited so I could go 4 days a week because I am bound and determined
Way to go.
to get into the best shape of my life at this point. At 45, I'm fixing to look like a 20-year-old. I mean,
Heck yeah.
look
I
at these
like the
guns, like
Superman shirt as
already,
he's talking
like
about
look at
this.
these arms, like I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Give it to me, Courtney. Look at those eyes.
There, your
What?
bowl
I'm
just coming
telling
through the
you, like,
screen.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, man. I'm telling you. I can pick up Sebastian with one arm, and I don't know what he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, "What? What's up, Dad?" Either way, so I've been going to Orange Theory, and one of the things that is my kryptonite, since I am wearing the Superman shirt,
Pun
my
intended.
kryptonite is the treadmill. And what I'm starting to realize in real time is that I don't know how much I can handle or how fast I can go unless I try to do more and withstand more,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this, and in my head, I'm making like the speed that I'm at harder. This is how it relates to this topic. I'm making like I'll get up to 5 or 6 and I'll play around with 5 or 6. But then it's like, okay, this is so hard. I'm out of breath. But how much more can I really do?
Yeah.
It's hard. But if I stay in that zone and in that place where it's already hard and I'm already pushing myself as much as I can, what are the odds that I'm going to get up there?
Yeah. It's
Not very high.
no, it's going down every time. You're
No,
like, oh, I'm gonna stay at this level.
correct. At some point, I got to hit that 7.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I got to get it up there and see how hard that really is and test
Mm-hmm.
myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that hard, that 7, which is hard for me now, will be the new easy.
Yeah. Have you ever? Okay, so the
And
question that came
by the
to
way, let me wrap this up real quick. The
yes.
story, I got it up to 7.7 today.
Hell yeah! Woo-hoo!
My legs were about to,
7.7.
yeah, my legs were about to fall off, but I got it up to 7.7 for 30 seconds.
I am impressed, my friend. I am impressed. Thank you for that. Was a very golden nugget to end that with. Um, your wife said, "Yeah, be on the Zoom meeting flexing. We're
I sure
ready to see
will.
it." Um, is okay. So, what have maybe a moment in your life, but what wisdom can you drop on? Let's say you are still telling yourself something. Let's say for years you've told yourself this one thing is so hard. You're this one thing's so hard, but you've never actually tried. And then let's say you go to try and do it, and you're shocked with how easy it was. And so the an example I'm thinking of is it used to be like when we moved into this house, I was not in great shape at all. And I remember just to run to the end of the block was hard. And so in my brain, I'd built that up as it was this really hard thing. And I'm not a runner. I'd rather do this, blah, blah, blah. Excuse, right? And I get out there one night and I get to the end of the block and I'm like, huh, okay. That was the okay. Well, I guess I'll go down. And granted, I mean, I hit a point where I'm still not in great shape. So it's not like I was able to go a full mile or anything. But it really taught me a lot in that moment because just I built up this monster in my head and it was nothing. And and I just was second guessing my skills or just didn't even know my current skills. And so what can you shed on that or a story you could tell when it was easier than you told yourself or lied to yourself for a
Well, I'm
while?
working on my bachelor's degree in psychology at the moment, and or at the moment I'm working on my bachelor. Let me be grammatically correct here. At the moment, at the moment, I'm working on my bachelor's degree in psychology, and it's a lot of papers. And I have to get myself into this mindset of let me write this paper. And I'm still doing it, even though I'm only like 5 classes, 7 classes to go, or whatever. Um, every paper still is a challenge to me because I'm like, oh my God, this paper is going to take forever. They want a 7-page paper, APA formatted with this and citations and all of this and resources. And they want me to go into detail about this and that. And every single paper, I have that same feeling. But then once I get started, again, just grit my teeth and just do it and just sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to close my door. I'm going to play some mental music to get me focused. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to just focus on whatever on this paper. And in 1 hour, I'll do more than I did the entire week. And then I'll be
Yeah.
like, wow, all right, look at what?
He'll be flexing again. He's like, look at
You
me.
know, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Now, question two or poll, since it's just you and me here. Do you find that things you put off are done a lot quicker than you assumed they would, or that they take a lot longer than you assumed they would before you got started?
For me personally, and more in most cases, it's quicker than what I originally anticipated.
And do you find, second poll question, do you find that it is quicker than the time and the anxiety you spent thinking about it to actually do the
Yes,
task?
yes, yes,
Yes. Yeah.
yes.
That's
Mark is
kind of
like
my
my
judgment.
brother from my Mark over here is my brother from another mother. He says it's like eating potato chips one at a time, and then the bag will be gone. Dude,
There you go.
oh,
I like that one better than the elephant analogy. And
you
I don't know if
know,
I said it, but the how do you eat an elephant just one bite at a time? And I'm like, oh, but I
you
love
know what?
elephants.
If the treadmill is my green kryptonite, potato chips are my red kryptonite.
Yes. Let's see. Mark also said changing the brake pads on our minivan. It was a lot easier than I thought. Oh, yep.
Wow, that's a
And
big one.
a lot longer. And some stuff will, but yeah, that's, I mean, walking around my house, if it's a mess, if it's a wreck, that's another thing. We can go back to systems, right? If you daily maintain your household, it's not going to stack up on you. But that whole I'll do it tomorrow for a month, that's going to be take you a week to clean, right? But if I can just like, I see a mess and y'all, I have a zoo. So like sometimes I walk in and I see a mess and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to take a minute and breathe and remind myself I love them right now, whatever. But it's literally like 1 to 2 minutes. Like it's literally, you look at laundry. Okay, can I turn on a timer and see how quick I can hammer that out? I love timers. We've talked about this slightly. Like if you do need a mental Jedi mind trick for yourself when things are hard or this or that, okay, I'm going to time myself. And then next time, can you beat it? Can you and just add a game, like get creative. It's not always about easy or hard. Sometimes adding different dimensions like a game aspect to it, or like timing yourself, or like actually learning how long it takes instead of bitching about it for the next 5 years because you don't actually know, just check in with yourself and see.
That's one thing that Becky Blake talks about. We're working on her podcast, the Behavior Revolution podcast, coming soon with Becky Blake. Let me
Yes,
rephrase that: the Behavior Revolution podcast with Becky Blake, coming soon to all your
that'll be
favorite
dynamite, you
podcasting
guys.
channels.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that she talks about. That's one of the things that she brings up at every episode. Make it fun. Make it fun. If
Mhm.
it's not fun, what's the point?
Yeah.
Make it fun. Make it a game, right?
Yeah.
And if you make it a game, you can trick yourself into doing pretty much anything.
Yeah. Our brain is already really good at tricking ourselves. If we could just learn to use that in our favor. And
Wow,
I'm still not the master of it, but I'm working on it for every day for the rest of my life. But yeah,
it's powerful.
it's not always about hard or easy. And you guys, like, we're going to have to do work the rest of our lives. We're going to have to encounter challenges the rest of our lives. We're going to have to encounter hard stuff every day for the rest of our lives. So why not, if you can't learn to be in the moment now, or learn to be grateful and charge at something hard, or do something easy and make it fun because it is so easy, just add that passion and juice to your life. And just maybe that's a magic key you're looking for, and sometimes you got to take a few steps back and reanalyze what is hard or easy and reanalyze your whole life. I'm
So
right there
true.
with you. So it's just the beauty in being us is that we have options and we have abilities and skills to look at the feedback and do with it what we may. And our telling of ourselves something's easy or hard is all just feedback.
Yep. All right. So we talked a lot about making it harder, making it harder, making the easy harder. Let me tell you a story about something that I thought was easy, and it ended up being significantly
Okay.
harder than what I thought going into it.
Okay.
Skydiving.
Oh,
Oh
I want to hear
man,
this. I want to hear this.
I thought this was gonna be easy peasy lemon squeezy, quoting Sebastian Leon, my 8-year-old greatest teacher ever in the world. I thought that that was gonna just be a piece of cake, that I was just gonna go up there, get on the plane, and we were gonna jump, and it was gonna be great, and boom, bitty bang, done, done, and done. And I was like, yep, I got this. I got
And
this.
then what happened?
I went up there with my Superman cape thinking I was just like, oh yeah, we're good. Once we got there and started looking at the stuff and looking at people jumping out of the planes, and then we had to sign the waiver that said we could potentially die in big old bold letters that you are taking the risk and you could die. It got real. It got so real, Courtney.
And this is you
And
have a few hours to go before you're actually
well,
jumping, right?
yeah, like it would have been so much better if I could have just gone, got in, done, and gone home. But while I was sitting there, you're watching everybody else, and you're like, okay, 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 and I'm like, what am I doing here? Why am I even here? How did I get myself into this mess? It got real. I mean, Jesse
Now,
here
was
says it
Jesse
got real.
calm at this time, or were you secretly freaking out too?
Nah, Jessie was calm. She was
Okay.
calm as a cucumber. She was good.
Okay.
I made her go first, as a matter of fact. I was like, "You go first. I'm gonna wait."
That's love.
And I came this close to backing out of that because I was legit starting to freak out. But
Mhm.
one of our friends down from Houston, Kim, came up for this particular event, and she's like, Ricardo, I'm here because of you. She's like, I'm so scared, but I know that you're brave. And she like really hammed me up. And she's like, I want you to jump with me because we had to partner up with people and groups and
Uh,
stuff. She's like, I want to be in your group because if you do it, I'll do it. And I'm going to need you to talk me into it because I'm scared. And I was like, well, oh, hell. Darn.
you gotta puff out those feathers and
I,
act
I
confident.
sure had to, man. But man, and then we got into the flat and they kept on going up higher and higher and higher. And I'm just like, she turns around and it's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here with me, Ricardo. I'm like, whatever. And
So,
needless to
what
say, I jumped out of the plane.
what was that moment right before you jumped? Like, did it feel like an invisible wall?
No, because at that point I was kind of just over it. I had built it up and I was already there. I'm already here looking at the altitude. The guys, I'm already strapped to the guy's already strapped to my back, right? Because it's a tandem.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, hey man, just push me out, dude. Like, I'm just gonna do I don't want no trouble. I don't want nothing fancy. I'm like, I'm just gonna do what y'all taught us in class. I'm gonna cross my arms and just go. Just go. And he's like, okay.
Alrighty.
I'm
No.
like, I'm just like, just go and get me down. Done and
Mhm.
done.
Now, was it the blissful, magical moment going down, or did you get that come full circle for you, or was it still just an
That first
experience?
minute was the worst minute of my life. Like I had never experienced terror like I experienced that first minute and a half of the free fall.
Mhm.
But after the parachute opened, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was nice and calm. The guy asked me, "Hey, do you want to drive? Do you want to steer the parachute?" Nope, I'm good. Just get me down.
I
You
love
know.
that. Yeah.
So when we were gliding down, I actually enjoyed it at that point. It was
I'm
really
glad to hear
peaceful.
that came.
I was like, I don't want no responsibility. I don't want nothing to do with this parachute. I don't want to touch nothing. I'm good. I'm just enjoying the trip. I was like, don't do no loops, no turns, no nothing. Just down. Get
Yeah.
me to the
Just
ground, man.
just get down. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jessie sharing about her experience. She said Ricardo wanted the teacher to be in charge. Meanwhile, I wanted to be in charge of my jump with my teacher. She said it was not in terror for her. And then she said the glide was amazing. So it is interesting hearing both y'all's perspectives at the same time. And it reminds me, I myself have not skydived yet, but I love Will Smith's story and look it up on YouTube, Will Smith skydiving, just look up his story. But the lesson of that story that he tells it so beautifully is that you spend all this time panicked and anxious and worried, and it actually ends up being one of the most magical moments of your life, and you realize all that worries was for nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it plays into the tricks we play on our head and the conversation we're having about making things harder or easier than they need to be.
It was definitely extreme. I thought I went in there thinking it was easy and then built it up to the super hard thing at the towards the end. And then once we were gliding down, I was like, okay, this is okay now. Like it was easier. This is easy. Then we landed. I'm like, oh yeah, who's the
Yeah.
rock star?
Are y'all ever gonna do it again?
I'm not.
I was about to say.
I'm
Uh,
good. I had
yeah.
my. I'll go when you go though, Courtney. I'll go and cheer you on and wait for you on the ground, and we can go have pizza.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, yeah,
You
we'll
know.
have our next, yeah, our by this point it'll be 10 years after y'all did it, but no, we'll
Yeah.
have our next skywalk,
Yeah.
and
So
I
Jesse
will be
can
leading
go.
that group, I guess.
We and Jesse can go and watch and supervise.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But
I do really want to skydive. I've bungee jumped quite a few times, and that one I feel like I can't even like I might understand bungee jumping, but I can't really talk about a skydive. But man, when you walk up to the end to jump over off that little ledge and they're like, "Okay, jump." And they can't assist you. Trust me, I tried to get them to push me off one time. And but there's like this invisible wall that like just to throw your body over that, it's just not natural. Like, and so that's always kind of the lesson I love. But anyway, can't wait to skydive. So if you have skydive, leave us a comment about what your lesson was and was it harder or easier than you thought?
and yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Great episode, Courtney. This was a good
thank
one.
you. I
This
enjoyed
was a
this
good one.
conversation.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like and follow, subscribe on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Visit forceforgrowth.com and like and share this episode. Share the value, share the love, share the insights that me and Courtney shared with each other. Because, like I said earlier, it's just me and her that suffered with this. Nobody else.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
apparently, me, her, and Mike.
So
It's just
thank
the
you all
three
for
of
being
us.
here for our therapy session
So
today.
it's just the three of us. Nobody else in the world, no one else in the universe, but share, share, share. And we
Yes.
appreciate the love and the feedback.
And reminder, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Force for Growth. And always remember to be a force for good
A force for growth.
and a force for greatness. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.